Welcome back. The year 2020 has just begun, and yet several fraud cases have already made headlines. This includes the seemingly endless wave of investment fraud of various forms and size. The massive Mimiles investment scam case, for example, was recently uncovered by the police after its alleged mastermind amassed around 750 billion rupiah, or equal with $54.6 million from hundreds of thousands of victims. Like in other investment scam cases, the victims were lured by unrealistically high returns for their investment. Such cases are not new to Indonesian people. In fact, every year, thousands of Indonesians fall victim to such schemes. Last December, the Financial Services Authority, or OJK, uncovered 182 fraudulent investment schemes, despite the government's best efforts, in particular through the Financial Services Authority's Investment Alert Task Force, in preventing and uncovering investment fraud. There appears to be no shortage of victims in Indonesia to this decades-old crime. The weak human element of the existing anti-fraud system is still a problem in Indonesia, rendering all other means such as regulations and technology useless in reducing fraud. Strengthening the human element must be done extensively and systematically to anticipate the ever-changing landscape of fraud in the modern age. One of the issues that had been a concern recently is the number of investment scams in Indonesia. OJK even said that the amount of loss caused by the case can reach hundreds of trillion rupiah. In this infographic segment, I would like to present to you some data about investment scam cases in Indonesia. The first one is about the number of unauthorized investment companies in Indonesia. This is by October 2019, the number of forex trading unauthorized investment company, as much as 11 companies, cryptocurrency, 8 companies, MLM investments, 2 companies, Umrah organizer, 1 company so far, and other investment, which is included to the unauthorized investment company, as much as 5 companies by October, once again, 2019. This one is taken from the Investment Task Force of Financial Services Authority. Historically speaking, investment fraud is among the oldest fraud schemes in the world. Charles Ponzi was known to be the man who perfected the art of quote-unquote robbing Paul to pay Peter by creating and running the Ponzi scheme in the 1920s. To attract his victims, he promised high rates of return with little risk. In reality, he simply used money from new investors to generate returns for earlier investors. And talking about an investment scam that happened recently is the case of Mimiles investment fraud. So to know the modus of Mimiles in trapping the victims, we can see it through the next data. This is the modus of Mimiles investment scam. The first one is they're having an intense top-up promotion from 50,000 rupiah to 200 million rupiah. And then they offering top-up bonuses such as cars, motorcycle, gadgets, and everything. And they also offer bonus if member can get another member. The total asset that had been gathered by Mimiles for as long as like 8 months they have been operating in Indonesia, 761 billion rupiah, and the numbers of members that have been trapped, and as a victim, 264,000 of people. Another case of investment scam using the Ponzi scheme. Decades later, Ponzi's legacy was reinvented by a former Nasdaq chairman, Bernard Madoff, who used his wealth management firm to accumulate around $64.8 billion from thousands of investors. The scheme was uncovered by the authorities in 2008, and a year later, Madoff was sentenced to 150 years in prison with restitution of $170 billion. One thing worthy of a note from the countless number of victims of investment fraud is the fact that people today are still just as vulnerable to this type of fraud as those in the era of Ponzi. So how huge the amount of loss caused by investment scam in the last 10 years? We can check it through the next data. Okay, to be exact, in 5 years. This is the total loss caused by illegal investment in the last 5 years, as much as 250 trillion rupiah. This one is taken from Financial Services Authority, or OJK's data. Many fraud victims are actually intelligent people who should have easily recognized the early signs of fraud. Investment fraudster like Ponzi, once again, was known to be highly skilled at recognizing loopholes in human behavior in persuading and tempting their victims. Some analysts consider quote-unquote irrational exuberance a major factor as to why so many investors fall victim to investment fraud. So how many cases of investment fraud that happened in 2007 to 2017? Let's take it through the next data. This is cases of illegal investment and the number of lost costs by the illegal investment from 2007 to 2017 in billion rupiah. First travel, the amount of loss reached 925 billion rupiah. Hanian Group 37.6 billion rupiah. Balad Lumampah 310 billion rupiah. That's the total of the lost. Amanat Bersama Umat as much as 67 billion rupiah, and so on. Many investment fraud schemes also exploit social capital, which refers to connections among people in a particular group or society, including the norms of reciprocity and trustworthiness arising from them. Many offenders build their social capital by expanding their social networks, which gives them access to potential feeders to sustain their investment schemes. So what ways can be done to eliminate the chance being trapped in investment fraud? Let's take it through the next data. This is the list of tips to avoid illegal investment. The first one is you need to make sure investment companies have investment license from OJK or Financial Services Authority, and make sure that the company has permits in offering investment products. And the third tips that can be implemented by us is by making sure that the company included original government institutions logo on their investments offers. The weak human element of the existing anti-fraud system is still a problem in Indonesia, rendering all other means such as regulations and technology useless in reducing fraud. And strengthening the human element must be done extensively and systematically to anticipate the ever-changing landscape of fraud in the modern age. Stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.